This show is intended to entertain, educate, inspire, and support you on your personal journey. I am not a medical doctor and do not offer any professional health or medical advice. While the guest on this show is a health professional, each person is different, and the advice shared in this show is general in nature and should not substitute for you seeking guidance for your specific situation from a qualified health professional of your choosing. When someone dies, we have language for it. There's ritual. There's a funeral. There's a service. There's cards. There's flowers, probably casseroles if you're in the South. When there's a romantic breakup, we know what to do. We rally the girlfriends. We make like Clueless. We go get the ice cream. You might go out to the bar and make some questionable decisions with some other romantic partners. In worst case, you get bangs. But when a friendship breaks up, there's no ritual. There's no language. It's often met with silence. And even worse, sometimes you still run into these people. They're part of the social group. They're at your school. They're on the ball field. But the dynamic has changed. So today we're talking about what does it look like when a friendship breaks up, and if that's grief. And with me today at the table, I have Dr. Noelle Santorelli. She's a licensed clinical psychologist based in Atlanta. She's also adjunct faculty at Emory School of Medicine, Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences. She talks on Instagram a lot about what it looks like to have healthy friendships in adulthood and how that has a trickle-down effect to your children. And I'm so glad that you're here with me today.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So tell everybody, what kind of tea did you pick out?
I picked blueberry tea.
Nice.
It felt refreshing for the spring we're having.
Yeah, it's so nice. So let's just jump right into it. So today I want people to hear that the idea of the locket and best friends forever is actually okay if it's not that.
Absolutely.
Because when I visit your page, and I first started following you because one of your posts, the algorithm fed it to me, and I was like, oh, this is interesting because I've seen, as a mid-40-year-old woman, some of my relationships have changed. Some that I've had for 20 years, some that I've had longer since my mom has passed. Some relationships have changed, whether it was friend groups or family. And so the algorithm said, oh, Ryan, you need to see her. And I started following you. And what you share is so wise. So is friendship lost real grief?
Absolutely. So any relationship where we feel that we have a close, intimate bond, that touches our attachment system.
Okay.
And our brain doesn't know the difference, really, between an attachment to a romantic partner, an attachment to a parent, an attachment to a close friend. So
wait. Oh, stop. That blows my mind. So like a close friendship kind of lives in the same space in my brain as like the attachment to my mother, or like in proximity?
Absolutely. So of course they're different.
Sure.
But they are all within that same category of attachment.
Wow.
And so you can have an attachment wound when you lose a loved one. You can have an attachment wound when you lose a pet.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a deep attachment. So any relationship where you have a feeling of attachment, you are going to feel pain, neurological, physiological pain in the same but different ways. Right?
Wow.
So a loss is a loss regardless of how you categorize the relationship.
Wow, that is so refreshing to hear. And I think maybe something that people are hearing for the first time because, you know, as things have evolved, I think even with me being, oh, well, we just don't hang out anymore. And we seem to kind of brush it off. So is there something we should maybe do more to honor that when things have changed?
So I say this all the time in my therapy office, but we have to name it to tame it.
Okay.
So when we don't have language for something, it does leave us feeling really confused.
Okay.
When we can't articulate something, it leaves us kind of swirling in our emotions, which makes it hard to regulate our emotions.
Okay.
So research actually shows that when we're able to correctly identify and name an emotion that we're feeling, we are better able to regulate that feeling.
Wow, that's so helpful.
And that's research-based.
So how would you label a change in friendships? Would you say, I'm having grief? Would you use something else?
Right. So I think there's lots of different ways.
Okay.
So I absolutely think we should start being able to say, I've had a friendship loss and I'm having or feeling a lot of grief around this. Now, to get to grief, and you probably know this, right? All those stages of grief, those 5 stages.
Which don't go in a line, I keep finding out.
They absolutely don't.
It's garbage.
You're angry, you're in denial, then you're accepting, then you're back to anger, right?
Yeah.
And it's all different pieces of the process. So I want people to even like distill it down further.
Okay.
So not just grief, of course there's grief, but are you confused? Was there betrayal? Was it evolution? Was it ashamed? Are you feeling ashamed? Are you embarrassed? So are you angry?
Yeah.
So there's grief, but underneath grief, we've still got different emotions that make up the grief.
And that can be so complicated, especially because, like I started off this show, and when someone dies, that's it.
Yep.
You don't see them anymore.
Yep.
I mean, maybe you do if you're a little on the woo side in different ways.
Right.
But, you know, it's almost like a bone. There's a clean break. But with friendship loss, your kids may still go to school together.
Absolutely. And so Dr. Pauline Boss coined the term ambiguous loss.
Okay.
And so loss of a friendship would fit into that category. So ambiguous loss is there's no clear defining closure. There's no real clear end. And that person is still somewhere in your orbit, right? Like at school or in your neighborhood or even across the country, you know they still exist.
Right.
You could have access to them.
And with social media, I mean, you could lose touch with, let's just give, like, I'm so fortunate. I'm still good friends with my college roommates, but let's, for instance, say that we weren't and our friendship had evolved. I could still check in and see what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And so that's even harder, right?
Yeah. And you could see if they're all getting together.
Yeah.
Right. And you're the only one who lost that connection or lost that relationship. And you may not know why.
Yeah.
So that's more of an ambiguous loss. And it's not to say one is easier and one is harder.
Right.
Right. Like they're both really important aspects of loss that I think we have to give credit to.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you think about it, when someone has a romantic breakup, we have words for it.
Yeah.
Heartbreak, divorce, breakup, right? When you lose.
I'm going scorched earth on him. I'm just kidding.
Right. And people rally around you.
Right.
Like you said, right?
Yeah.
Or when someone passes away, we say, you know, someone passed. People bring casseroles. Some religions sit Shiva, right?
Yeah.
Like there are ceremonies to mark that transition from what you had to what you no longer have. With friendship loss, you're just supposed to go on.
Yeah, there's nothing in the employee handbook that says you get so many days to figure this out.
Right.
And then, I mean, even though kind and necessary with bereavement, I don't want to diminish that at all. But, you know, you just are expected to just go on. And nobody really acknowledges it.
Well,
and even the parties I have found, because I've had some friendships that evolved, like, you don't ever really talk about, like, hey, you know, to quote Taylor Swift, we no longer talk. Like,
yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I think that makes it even more complicated for women having a friendship loss is I know myself. If someone tells me they lost a friendship, people lots of times have the thought, well, what did you do?
Right. That's exactly what I thought.
Isn't that what you were just thinking, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, what happened?
Yeah.
And there's like some element of you must have done something.
And also a little bit like, I want the tea.
Yeah.
Like, it's that gossipy kind of,
yes,
like, well, must be you.
There's like a little bit of suspicion. And if you are in the same community, or like, let's say it was your college roommates.
Right.
We also feel like we can't necessarily go to the other people for validation because that can be seen as stirring the pot, right? Or talking badly,
right?
And
talking
so
shit. Let's just say it.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know. Beep. So you sort of hold it within yourself because you're afraid of the judgment. There is an element of shame because you're probably also thinking, when there's no clear rupture or clear closure, did I do something?
And women, we tend to sit and we analyze and
ruminate.
we think about it, and we're losing sleep at night, and we're like, what role did I play? Could this have gone better? And especially if, I think, especially with professional women and high emotional women, like we want to debrief.
Yeah. And we're problem solvers.
Yes.
We want to fix it.
Yeah.
How can we change this? How can we fix it? And it's uncomfortable to sit with that ambiguity and the not knowing and the sort of confusion around, was it me? Was it them? And who can I go to for support about this and not face judgment, shame, and inquisition? What did you do?
Well, and that you trust that's not going to run back to them.
Exactly.
Wow, that can be so lonely and isolating.
I was going to say, so it's grief, but it's a very isolating grief. Now, I know with sort of the traditional grief, one of the problems is that there are a lot of people there early on, right? It's those first weeks. You do get the casseroles. You get the, what can I do to help? 6 months, a year in, you're not getting support.
Yeah.
And so that's isolating.
14 months in, I'm learning now, and this has been surprising to me. And part of it is of my own doing. And I'm not going to play a victim, but they're like, oh, you're doing a podcast, so it's all good.
Totally. Yep.
Well, some days it's all good, but it's still this thing, I call it my invisible backpack.
Right.
Some days it's a little heavier. Some days it's cumbersome. Some days I barely notice it, but backpack's always there.
Yep. And with a friendship, lots of times you're having daily contact or very frequent contact. And so
almost like a mother relationship.
Right. That attachment, right? It's often part of our infrastructure of our life in the day-to-day. So a friendship loss might be someone you text to say, what time is practice? Or do they wear spirit uniforms tomorrow? Or what time does the pool open, right? So they're kind of part of your day. Or can we carpool?
Yeah.
And so not only do you lose the attachment, but you also lose some day-to-day infrastructure or logistical help. And so it's almost like a double whammy in that sense.
Yeah. And especially as moms, where we don't have a lot of family nearby. And so the other moms in our life, it takes a village. Yep. But that village can look different and change. I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about, I have a mom text group. I mean, a lot of us do, right? Course. I feel like, and it's really making me think about the fact that I think my mom text group, brag on the women in this group, they all are so helpful. There is not any, my child is doing this. There's no humble bragging. We're really all just trying to keep it together, remind each other what Spirit Wear is. Right. Hey, does anybody have a resource for, I needed a stuffy repaired the other day, and it's so funny. A couple of weeks ago, my son said, do y'all talk about us a lot in the mom text? And I said, actually, we don't. And so I'm thinking about the fact of, wow, what would happen if all of a sudden I felt like that went away?
Right.
Because that is part of my support system. That's part of us keeping the wheels on the bus in the house of Sochet.
Yes. Or if one of the relationships within that group was really close, and then suddenly it went away, either because of something that happened, which is a different kind of pain, but it's pain, right? If you found out someone was talking badly about you or about your family or about your child, right? And that's when I get a little bit into the relational aggression stuff on my Instagram and in my private practice. Or if for some reason someone was unhappy with you and just sort of started emotionally withdrawing, but you don't know why. But you're still in that group text thread.
Right.
And you're still getting messages from the group at large. You also can't remove yourself from the grief, right? You can't move on when there's a daily reminder that there's this rupture.
Wow. That is so much to think about the process right now. And which is one reason I love following you on Instagram, because this is so nuanced and complex, and there's so many different layers about it. One thing that I really want to talk about is, I think, you know, growing up in the time of Lisa Frank and Trapper Keepers, when we did, you know, I don't know if it was a thing in New York, but in the South, I remember as a little girl, 19 years old, you gave the BFF locket.
Oh yeah, the charm.
The charm. Yes, the charm. And I remember the first time a friend gave me that, and we are still friends to this day. We're not as close for a lot of reasons, but I remember I felt so special. And I think we grew up with this idea of best friends forever. And the older I get, the more I realize that's actually a really kind of shitty urban myth and not factual. Can you talk about how... Like, I love busting myths. Like, is the idea of best friends forever realistic?
So I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I think that it really ignores the idea that we evolve, and we're supposed to evolve as humans.
So we're not bad on anybody.
Not bad on anybody. But thank God I'm not the same person I was at 9.
Amen. Same.
Right? Or 13.
Or 19.
Or 19. Right.
Or 29.
Thank gosh, right?
Right.
And so I think it does us a disservice to think we're supposed to have a BFF. Number one, that we're supposed to have one. Not everyone's built to have a BFF. Some people are built to have lots of different relationships that fill lots of different cups, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone finds that perfect person. So it's a myth in that you're going to find that perfect person that just sort of meets you at every area of your need or every area of your interests, because that puts a lot of pressure on yourself to keep it and maintain it.
And some people look for that in a spouse, I'm thinking about.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, I love my husband, but thank God for my girlfriends,
because
there's
fill every bucket, right?
He does not want the debrief after a party and what was served and how it was served and what the invitation. He does not want that.
Exactly, and that's okay, right? And you learn that it's okay to diversify your relationships. So I think the BFF gives us a myth that then we feel a lot of shame about when we can't sustain it or maintain it. It's very black and white, right?
Yeah.
And for the people that do have a BFF, that's amazing, and that's two-sided. That means you have two people that have been able to be flexible enough and adjustable enough and evolve enough throughout different seasons of life.
I love that you mentioned this idea of flexibility, because I think in particular about a girlfriend of mine, Ellen. She's been on an episode. And we have been friends for 20 plus years. We met 2 days after we started law school. We were literally thrown together during Hurricane Katrina. And we have gone in seasons where we talk every day. We text numerous times a day. We are currently in a season where we are both, as moms and professional women, so busy that we don't have that touch point. And, you know, it will be longer than we normally have ever gone. But I do feel secure in our friendship, in the fact that I know she knows I'm doing the best I can. I know she's doing the best she can. And we're not going to give each other any kind of snarkiness once we do talk on the phone. We're just going to like relish in the fact, like, oh my gosh, you guys talk on the phone today.
Right. Even if it's 5 minutes.
Even if it's 5 minutes. And so that flexibility of knowing, and I think grace of, you know, if you're a mom of any kind, regardless of whether you work outside the home or you just maintain your home, or, you know, you're working 2 or 3 jobs, like, we're all just doing the best we can.
Absolutely.
I think from day to day.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that some people don't have bad intentions.
Right.
But for the most part, like, just give each other some flexibility and grace if you want to maintain that friendship, I think is an important lesson.
And with that flexibility and grace, we also have to learn how to communicate and take feedback. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm thinking of one of my, you know, very long-term friends. I had children much younger than she did. And she got married a lot later than I did. And when she got married, it was on the other side of the country. We met in New York, but then she got married in California.
Yeah. It's a long flight.
Long flight. I was getting my PhD at the time. I was really wrapped up in my dissertation.
Sure.
I can't remember. I had 1 or 2 kids, but there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
A lot going on. And I was very outside of that wedding stage of my life. She had been one of my bridesmaids and had helped me with every task under the sun.
Yeah.
You
She
know.
was in a different phase at that time.
She was.
Yep.
And so I RSVP'd no to her wedding. I thought, what's the big deal? Like, we're not as close anymore. We've
Sure.
kind of a natural friendship drift,
Yep.
right? Different sides of the country, different phases of life. And she messaged me and said, I'm really hurt by this. This really hurts me.
Yeah. Good on her for doing that.
Really good on her, because I was not thinking that she valued our relationship to the extent that she still did. I wasn't thinking it was going to matter as much. I was like, I'm just another person. It's fine.
Sure.
It's across the, I had all these excuses
Right.
for myself. So good on her for letting me know that really hurt her and she really needed me to be there. And then I was able, good on me, that I was able to take the feedback and say, does this relationship matter enough to me
Yeah.
that I want to take this feedback and I want to inconvenience myself
Right.
to set this up to happen?
Right.
And I decided, yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I went to the wedding.
Right.
And I am so thankful.
And I imagine in the meantime, y'all had some lovely conversations about like where you both were. And maybe some appreciation of y'all didn't realize probably what each of you were carrying.
Exactly. And so I am so thankful that I went to that wedding because it meant so much to her. And she was able to tell me that.
Right.
And so that could have been a very, I see women lose friendships all the time over situations like that,
Or they just don't say anything.
where they wouldn't communicate.
Right.
So I do think we have to learn better communication skills, better direct communication. And I'm sure you know this as like a woman in a high stress environment, right? If you're too assertive or direct, you're labeled one way,
Correct.
right?
And
we all know the way.
It's not a positive
It is
conversation.
not no. But on the flip side, we're sort of socialized as women to not say anything, to not speak up, to value relational harmony over individual feeling.
And it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly.
And how do you strike that balance? And every morning we wake up and there's this expectation of say what you mean, be assertive, but not too much.
Right. But be careful.
But be careful because people might think you're not nice.
Right.
Especially in the South. Like there's this value of being nice, even if you say, this is my boundary. This is what makes me comfortable. This is how I need to heal.
Yes.
Well, all of a sudden you're not nice and like
Right.
you're villainized.
Right. Now, my hope with this wedding story is that if I came back and said, listen, I am really, really sorry. I really can't make it happen. I have a committee meeting or I have no child, I believe that this particular person is flexible enough in her mindset that she would have taken it in, felt the disappointment, and we could have still moved forward. Maybe I would have offered, I can't come to this, but I'm going to come out for a special weekend when I don't have a meeting or something, right?
Right.
But the fact that she was able to communicate kindly and honestly, and that I was able to take it in and not feel so much shame that I became defensive,
Right.
is one of the ways that we can problem solve and repair a friendship. The issue I have with friendship loss is when we lose a friendship that doesn't have to be lost, we lose it because we can't communicate. Whether that's because someone is ghosting someone because they're afraid of having that hard conversation, or because someone can't take the feedback and make a reasonable change.
So let's talk about, I think you've hit on three, I'm such a wordsmith. So
I love it.
the words I loved, kind, honest, flexible. So let's say you have had that kind, honest conversation and you've even maybe given some options and the other person seems to be this unmovable, they just keep repeating the same thing. How do you know for your own, I guess, peace of mind that you've said all the words you can, you've used all your big girl words, you've used all your nice words, and now you're just feeling frustrated? How do you know, or what would you do in that situation, I guess?
So I often come back to, I use a lot of dialectical behavior therapy
Okay.
in my private practice.
Okay.
So dialectical behavior therapy, for those who don't know, it's a big old word for we balance change and acceptance at the same time.
Okay.
Both can be true at the same time.
We say that a lot on this show.
Oh, you do?
Grief and growth sit at the table holding hands.
Exactly. So DBT is perfect.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah.
the model or mantra of DBT therapy is there are certain things we need to change and be real active participants in that change. And there's other things we have to be active participants in learning how to accept. And so in a situation where you feel like, okay, I'm kind of beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
I've said the thing. I've been honest with the person. I've been honest with myself. And we're at an impasse here. What I fall back on is the DBT skill of DEAR. It's DEAR.
Okay.
And it is how to communicate the ending of a relationship. So we use DEAR for a lot of different interpersonal situations. But in this context, I'm going to talk about it in ending a relationship.
Okay. And our listeners and viewers we love to have some language.
All right. So get out your pens.
Yeah.
So DEAR is describe. D is describe.
Okay.
E is express.
Okay.
A is assert. And R is reinforce.
Okay.
Okay.
So what would that look like in the situation I
So
gave you?
what that would look like is you would describe the situation with let's say you've sort of done your, you've done your own work, you've processed, you've talked to outside people about what do I do here, and you've decided
This isn't serving me.
this isn't serving me.
Yeah.
Either you want to end the friendship or you want to break from the friendship, or what were you thinking at that?
I think at that time I was just really just frustrated and I've said all I can say.
Okay.
We seem to be at an impasse.
Okay. So what we would do is you'd send a text, let's say, or you could call or you could email, however you best communicate with this person. The D would be describe the situation using completely non-judgmental language, facts only, no opinions.
Okay, that's perfect. That's how attorneys write.
Could you give it to me?
So I would
Pretend this is a text. We're
Okay,
texting.
okay, so
Put you on the spot here.
3 dots here going away. So I would say a few days ago you shared with me X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
I responded that I understood you, and I shared why my opinion is different.
Okay.
And we are now here.
Okay. Really good. I think because you're a lawyer. So a lot of people would...
I like when I get my gold stars.
Yeah, a lot of people would sneak in a feeling word
Yeah.
or sneak in a word that's an opinion or an expression. We have to save that to the E.
Okay.
The D is short and sweet, but you give enough information to give context. So you
Right.
did exactly right. So
So we're setting the stage.
you're setting the stage. A few
Got it.
days ago, we went back and forth 7 times, whatever it is, over text about the reason I did X, Y, or Z. Okay. Now you express. Now you get to move into express.
Yeah.
So how were you feeling? And this can be short and sweet.
Yeah,
You don't
I
want to
think
give
I would-
too much.
I think I would just say, at this point in time, I don't feel like I'm being heard, and I do not feel like my boundary is being respected.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Then, so right there, and just for your listeners, sometimes you're very good at this. Some people are not.
I had quite a bit of therapy.
Oh, okay. There we go. They might give a dissertation, right? They may
Right.
give a 3-page response about how they feel.
Well, and to be fair, when Ryan's writing out a first draft, it's probably because I express through writing, and
Yes.
that is healing for me.
And that's a great strategy to journal or to write things out. But when you're sending it to the person, we want to distill it down so they don't get lost in the weeds.
Yeah.
And
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. And we want to keep it to the issue at hand. We don't want to express how you felt 7 years ago in the friendship. In this particular, right?
Right.
We want to
In the words of Randy Travis, we're not digging up old bones.
Yes, we are expressing that in this situation, you felt unheard.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the hard part is the assert, the A. Here is where you're asking for what you want.
I think in that moment, I no longer wanted to talk about it.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay. So that's your assert.
I am a empathetic, introverted Sagittarius, and when that light switch is flipped, it's flipped. I'm done.
Oh, I'm the same. Sagittarius, and that's my...
Yeah, like we're done. I've used all my nice words.
Yep. Okay, so did you, in that moment, did you want to end the relationship? Did you want to pause the relationship? Did you want...
I think what I really wanted is just a break, whatever that looked like. And I didn't know if that looked like indefinitely or a short time, but I no longer wanted to go back and forth.
Mm-hmm. So what we would do is I'd probably add to the express the thing you said just before. I've said all I have to say, or I'm done exchanging words on this.
Yeah.
So I would add to the express, I feel like I've said all I have left to say. In the ask, or the assert, as we call it, you would say, at this point, I need a break from going back and forth. Or at this point, I need to take a pause on our relationship. And that's the
that's the hard part. Yeah.
For people. And that is why...
Especially for nice Southern girls.
And that is why we have a lot of ambiguous loss of friendships. Because a lot of people don't know how to kindly, or they feel like it's mean.
Yeah, that feels hard.
To set that very reasonable boundary, right? If you think about it, there's nothing in what we just said that is ugly or that is mean.
But it is final.
Was it final for you in that moment?
Well, I think, this is me, an attorney's parsing words. I think, was it final? I don't know. In some ways, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you said, I need a break.
Yeah.
You didn't say, I need to terminate this relationship. Right? That would, to me, would be more final.
Yeah.
You said, I need to stop this exchange.
Yeah.
So that interaction was final.
Yeah.
But you weren't at a point where you were saying, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
So if she came back and said, thank you for explaining that. I understand this conversation's done. Let's move forward.
Yeah.
Maybe there was room for repair. And that's another thing we don't do well, right?
Right.
And we lose a lot of friendships because of it. We don't know how to rupture and repair.
So is that the R?
No.
Okay.
The R, but it could be. That's great.
Yeah.
The R is reinforce.
Okay.
So the R is telling the other person what's in it for them. Why should they listen to you, respect you, and understand your boundary? I always say this is not the ass kissing part. You don't say, and I love your sweater. It's not that. You say something about the relationship.
Yeah, like I value the time we've had together, and you're an important person for me.
Beautiful.
In my life.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Period. Hit send.
Okay.
That is the deer that you would have sent when you were at an impasse with this friend. That is truly much more kind than just disappearing.
Yeah.
Right? Because that disappearance, we want to assume that this friend has your best intention, or the best intentions, and we don't want to. We want to give her the information so that she doesn't sit around ruminating on why you've suddenly disappeared from her life.
Yeah, so she is free to then decide how she wants to move forward, and whether, I tell people all the time, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm champagne.
Yeah.
Whether she still wants the fizzy bubbles around. And she might not.
She might not.
And
that's her choice.
Right.
But you've given her a choice instead of, it feels hard in the moment to send that text and to be that direct. It feels hard. But it truly is more kind than just vanishing.
Yeah, it reminds me of what I say a lot practicing law, writing contracts as a transactional attorney. Clear is kind.
It is.
Like, I want to write a clear contract because the business parties will know exactly what we need to do, and we can go forth. And if I've done my job well as an attorney, we're not going to have to litigate over an agreement.
Right.
We're going to know if somebody's breached it. We're going to know if they're fulfilling their duties. We're going to know if they're paying on time. And clear is kind. And that translates really even to interpersonal relationships, what I'm hearing.
Yes. And I think if we can do a little bit more of that, we can avoid some unnecessary grief. Because that's the thing with friendships, right? Are we supposed to have BFFs forever? No. We are supposed to be able to evolve, flex, and change. You know, the saying, friends for a reason, friends for a season, friends for a lifetime. There are different friendships. But if we could be flexible, if we could communicate, and if we could learn how to repair after a rupture or a hard spot, we could avoid a lot of loss that was unnecessary.
And I love this idea that you're sharing about fluidity, because I am so fortunate. My mom's service is a great example that I had girlfriends show up from all areas of my life. And some I hadn't seen in person for many years. But, you know, there's this fluidity, I think, that we all need to come to accept, that that just because we're not in constant contact right now doesn't mean it won't circle back around in some kind of beautiful way.
Absolutely.
And I've seen that with myself. I've seen that with others. And if you're friends, you're friends.
Absolutely. So
if you had that core love and commonality, you'll always have that, but are you evolving together too?
Absolutely. And I think we get very focused, and DBT also talks a lot about Western philosophy and Eastern philosophy.
Okay.
So the Western philosophy is we are change-based. There's a problem, we want to fix it.
Yeah.
You want something, you work harder, you sleep less, and you get it, right? That is more of the Western philosophy. The Eastern philosophy is a little more of that like Buddhist sort of life is hard and it should be. How are you going to deal with it?
Yeah.
Right? How are we going to accept that for which we cannot change? And so this DBT kind of marries both ideas of that acceptance and that change. But if you can accept that your relationship will evolve, you can be more flexible in how you interact with your friends.
And I think for me, and I don't know if this is true for everybody, but one thing as I sit and think and write and journal and examine my own grief, I think I'm leaning more towards the Buddhist way of looking at relationships and what I value and who I want to spend my time with and who fills my cup, who fills my soul, and maybe some of this other stuff. I like you, you're nice, you're fun, but it's not what I need in this season. So let's talk about a little bit about, how do you know if a relationship, a friendship is no longer working for you? What are some maybe I don't know that I want to call them red flags, but maybe yellow flags, or that, you know, a change needs to happen?
Sure. So another, you know, I sort of hate the word toxic and red flags. Right?
I think it's overused along with narcissist.
Correct. And you know, as a psychologist who works with complicated and often dysfunctional relationships, it's hard not to say the word toxic, but I try. And so one of the ways that I like to categorize relationships that are not working for you are to label them as, and you'll like this as a word person, you have interfering relationships and you have destructive relationships. And there's a difference. So we've got our good relationships, right? Yeah. We've got our good relationships.
Those are easy to identify.
Right. And that might be our proximity relationships that work for proximity. That might be our college relationships that are, you know, deeper, more developmental relationships. But then when we get into the more quote unquote toxic, what do we mean by toxic?
Okay.
Is it interfering? Which might mean that there's something in this relationship that is getting in the way of you living the life you want to live, or that is sort of, you know, bringing you down, or is keeping you up at night, or has you ruminating. It's interfering with you having sort of living your best life.
It's like a weed.
Yes. But then we've got destructive, and that's different.
Okay.
That's not just interfering, it's actually damaging an aspect of your life. That's when we think about things more like physical abuse or emotional abuse, or someone who is using relational aggression against you and is damaging your other relationships in the community.
So talk about a relational aggression, because you've mentioned that
Yes.
phrase a few times, and I don't think I really understand it.
Okay, so relational aggression is primarily used by women. Yes, it is used by men, but it is mostly used by women. And it is a way to channel our aggression towards another person through damaging their relationships. And so that might look like gossip. It might look like triangulation. So I'm going to pull someone from that group chat off to the side and explain why you're really bothering me in a way that I hope they get on board with it as well. Not in a way that I'm looking for.
Or I'm going to talk shit about what they posted on Facebook.
Totally. Yeah. And not in a way that I'm pulling someone aside to say, hey, I'm really struggling. Do you think I've done something wrong? Or like, how could I communicate? It's not looking for problem solving. It's looking to damage your reputation.
It's tattling. It's
snarky. They want to enlist other people to get on the hate train, right?
Got it.
Or there's like weaponized vulnerability. So for example, you shared with a friend that you're having trouble in your marriage, so you're really anxious, or you're sort of dropping the ball lately on work things or something. They might use that. They may have a party and not invite you. And then when you say, hey, you didn't invite me, like that hurt. They say, oh, well, you said you've been dropping the ball, so I didn't want to add more to your plate.
Wow.
Right? So that's weaponizing your shared vulnerabilities.
And so the interference is kind of the low end. Maybe I need to think about this, but the destructive is like taking it up a notch is what I'm hearing.
The destructive is anytime we get into
having social events and excluding people or letting them know at the last minute, like that's all destructive.
I would call that more destructive.
Okay.
Interfering is like the friend where every time you meet for coffee, she takes the full 45 minutes to only debrief about her own life. And she's not always been that way, but it's starting to get that way, right? It's not destructive, but it's a drag.
Yeah.
It's interfering, right? It's taking time away from a relationship where you could get more.
Yeah.
So that's an example of interfering would be something like that.
Got it.
Or the friend who constantly asks for help but is never there when you need help. I wouldn't necessarily call that destructive, but it's not beneficial.
Yeah, I think probably you've experienced this too. The friend who always has a quick question, and you're like, this is what people pay me for.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. Or
it's a lot of fun.
The person who has a quick question or needs a quick referral, but there's no quick referral.
No, and there are no quick questions. Right.
For 2-3 years.
You're like, who you? Or they want, they think, because Fox 5 has a lot of relationships with the Falcons and UGA, and they all of a sudden sliding into my DMs. Can you get me tickets? No, I cannot get you tickets. That's not how this works. Ryan doesn't have tickets. What are you talking about?
So that might be like an interfering relationship where you're like, it's a thorn in my side, but I'm not stuck in a whole rose bush of thorns, right? Like, and so when we think about whether or not to end a relationship, we also want to think about, and you have the right to end an interfering relationship or a destructive relationship. But with an interfering relationship, sometimes there's hope. Sometimes we can problem solve it, right? Sometimes we can have those conversations about here's what has to change, or this is my boundary, or this doesn't feel good to me. Destructive is, you probably have to end it.
Yeah. So one thing I want to discuss is this idea of proximity versus true friendship. I think we're all looking for that true friendship, but there are some people I think about now. I enjoy their company, but I wouldn't say that we're good friends, that our children are in school together. We have that proximity. Would I help them out? Absolutely. But am I calling them if I'm having a high grief day? Probably not. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So proximity can and often does lead to some of your closest relationships, right? That's when we meet our college friends. It's when we meet people through work or our neighborhood. But I think a lot of us as moms in particular, we come into the expectation that because there's a lot of overlap, like neighborhood, school district, or, if you think about private schools, all of you selected the same school for probably similar reasons.
Yep.
So you sort of naturally feel aligned with these people. So yes, it can lead to very close relationships, but we're so, especially as mothers, we're very desperate for connection. Lots of times we've left where we went to college. We've left our hometowns. We don't have family nearby. And so we sort of...
life is hard.
Right? We sort of jump at the idea that there may be this built-in group for us, finally, right? And I see people jump in with that eagerness a little too much. I think that's the real...
almost like jumping into a romantic relationship
100%.
too soon, and you're like, whoa, why can't we just pump the brakes?
We would never do that, right? So
Hopefully not.
Or like if a friend came to you and said, I just met this guy, we go to the same gym, and so we're going to spend every minute together. You'd be like, wait a minute, what? Are you sure? Like you're just at the same gym. Like, that's great, but maybe take a class together first, or like maybe do a few workouts first.
And maybe don't spend every free time and all of a sudden start vacationing together. And now we're like trying to meld our families together and like having weekends with the families.
Right. So when I see a lot of these friendship losses or these friend groups that fall apart, or a lot of these sort of misalignments, lots of times I see that it comes from a very fast entry into the relationship. And so I call that entering the relationship in emotion mind. Now, emotion mind can be when you're thinking with sadness, you're thinking with grief, you're thinking with anger, but it can also be when you're thinking too much with hope or happiness or the good feelings, the good vibes.
Yeah.
So my husband
this
and I
person
joke
is
about
fun.
this.
They make me laugh. They're a good time versus whatever, right?
My husband always jokes with me because we'll go to like a school function, not anymore, but in the past, and I'd meet someone, I'd be like, do you want to do spring break together? And he's like, I don't want to do spring break. Like, I don't know them. And I'm like, but we just had a great time. And he's like, it's been 30 minutes. So I can jump into that emotion minded. And then once I'm out of my emotion mind and I'm back to what I call wise mind, again, this is DBT talk. But then I'm kind of like, I don't want to go on vacation with them either.
Right.
And he's like, well, you're the one who,
Right.
started this whole train.
Right.
So I always encourage people to, yes, of course you're going to be happy, hopeful, excited when you meet people that feel similar to you. But I encourage you to just slow it down a little bit. Start small, right? Maybe have some coffees before you get your whole family together.
Sure.
Maybe get the family together a few times for a barbecue before you buy plane tickets to go on a spring break, right? Start slow and then build from there, just like you would with any other relationship. Because in that period of time, you can start to see, what are some green flags? What are some yellow flags? What are some red flags, right? Sure. Now, some red flags, just while we're on the flags. When women start to tell me that they spend an unusual amount of time focused on and thinking about the relationship, that's usually a red flag for me. So if women are like, well, I don't know what to wear for a mom's night out, or...
That seems so weird.
Yeah. Or, do I have the right purse? Or I don't think that was my best performance after just like a dinner or a book club.
Even using the word performance.
Exactly. Right. Like, that wasn't my best work. That's a red flag. If you are starting to feel there's a difference between excitement and some initial like new relationship jitters versus like, my brain is really focused on this relationship. In an unusual way. Now, if you're someone
Sounds almost performative.
It is performative, absolutely. That's a good sign that not that they're bad people or they're a bad friend group, but it's probably not the right fit for you, right?
Yeah.
When it's really a good, safe, secure attachment, which again, friendships are attachments, there's sort of a level of safety and relaxation that comes, not the opposite.
Not this hyper, we got a text, I need to know what you're doing,
That's performative.
Yeah.
That's when you're more in a performative arena. And that might be on you, it might be on the group, it might be on the ecosystem. We don't know, but we know we want to be careful.
Right. And you, all taking responsibility, need to say, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to slow down? And maybe even like, I can enjoy this person, but maybe I need to even broaden my group to see if there's somebody else that, you know, is more welcoming that I don't necessarily, you know, need to spend every waking moment with.
Or I can go to book club because I enjoy reading and I enjoy the conversation. And those aren't the people I'm going to tell about my relationship problems with my husband.
Yeah.
It's not safe enough yet.
Right.
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 And that's part of the slowing it down process and diversifying. I always say diversify your friendships, whether you're a child or an adult.
Yeah.
Right. Do not put all your eggs in one bucket.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I'm not bragging on myself, but maybe I am. But I mean, I have so many girlfriends that fill so many different roles in my life. And there is the girlfriend I call because she's also lost a parent. And I know I don't have to say a lot of words and she's going to get it.
Yeah.
And then I have the girlfriend I call when I'm like, hey, can I be petty about this one celebrity's dress?
Right.
You know, like I was like, it's not her best look or, you know, whatever. And so, or I could just like type one word and we're going to be in a fit of giggles because we remember that one story from 20 years ago. Yeah. And it's that kind of, and maybe we haven't talked in several weeks, but I can send her one word and she's going to be like, oh my gosh, you're such a nutball, you know?
Right, right.
This has all been so helpful. And I know you're going to be back for a part 2 because, I mean, I'm sitting here flipping my cards. We didn't get to half of them of what I want to talk about. But before I go, I love to ask all of my guests the same 5 questions. I call it this Fabulous 5. It's rapid fire. You can answer as quickly as you want. It can be funny. It can be serious. If you want to swear, you can. But what is a life lesson that your mom or grandma or some wise woman told you that you think about and it comes to mind a lot that you just kind of really hold on to as an anchor for you?
This is really funny and this is rapid fire and this is probably not helpful for anybody, but maybe for somebody. A dirty child is a happy child.
I love that. God made dirt, dirt won't hurt.
Exactly. Yeah. I think about that not just in the area of literal dirt, but like your kids are going to get in messes, whether they're
emotional messes.
Correct.
Play-Doh, paint, baking.
All of it. Yeah. And they need that to truly develop and grow. We can't keep these precious little birds in golden cages, right? So I think about it like that. So, you know, your kid's going to struggle, you're going to struggle, but a messy child is a happy child.
Oh my gosh, I needed that message today. So I know other moms.
So it helped at least one person.
Yes. So in your dark moments when life has gotten really loud, what is something that is comforting to you? What's a practice or
I was like
just or anything?
Driving on the highway, windows down, blasting Tori Amos or some other super depressing, super angsty music.
Yes. I love that. Something sacred or sentimental in your home that you're grabbing. For me, it's the teddy bear my mom made. So that kind of thing, not a family or a pet member.
Ooh, okay. Well, it's ashes of my pets that have passed. Yeah. So that's in a special spot. Yeah. I have it in my closet. I've got their little paw prints. That's really important and special to me. Yeah.
Pets are the best part of life.
So yes, I grab a living pet for comfort, but I also have they're coming too.
I love that. If you're asking God, the universe, whatever you feel like the higher power is, a question and you're getting an answer, what do you want to know? And it can be today, it can be a big, huge question. What do you wonder about?
I wonder, will I have made a positive impact on people's lives, particularly the people that are really important to me? I want them to know when I'm gone how much they mattered to me.
Oh, I love that.
And that I've impacted them.
And I feel confident just even with this conversation that like they do.
Thank you.
What is a phrase or a quote that you love? It can be a swear word. It can be something you just say all the time. It can be your catchphrase. What is it?
So I say this to myself a lot because I tend to be an overfunctioner, right? Or like an overperformer or like I'm hard on myself. So in grad school, I came up with this mantra, shoot for the C's.
Okay.
Instead of shoot for the stars.
Oh, I love that.
Which is very personal to me.
Yeah.
Because I will push and push and push. And oftentimes my C is really a B or an A.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
Oh, C like the letter. When you
letter,
said C's,
grades.
I imagined an ocean.
Nope. So I'm such a, academic-y
Got
person.
it.
School has always been such an anchor for me.
Yes.
That saying shoot for the C's, as in like a report card, C being average, really helps bring me back to earth. And not drive in overdrive 24/7.
No, as somebody who overfunctions I created a podcast in the
there you go.
a few months after my mom passed. So
yeah, like this will be helpful.
Right. Like insanity. Crazy way to grieve. But when you said shoot for the C's and you said stars, I imagined the ocean, which is you probably have a lot of thoughts about like why that worked in my brain that way.
Well, and that a lot of people think that, but for me, it's shoot for the C's, as in just try to be good enough.
Yeah.
You can be good enough, and that's enough.
Yeah, for all of us. Well, thank you so much for being here today. What I heard is that it's okay for friendships to evolve. They should evolve.
It's good.
And honesty and clearness and kindness is a way to move yourself and your friendships along in a healthy way.
Yep. So
and
you
also
can get
boundaries.
to that involvement. Yep, and boundaries.
And boundaries. Boundaries, always boundaries. Thank you
so
much.
for having me.
Thank you. Before we go, I love your Instagram page.
Thank
I know
you.
everybody else is going to love it too. Tell people where they can connect with you on social media and also your website.
So my handle for everything is just Dr. Noelle, Noelle, Santorelli, either at Instagram, at TikTok, at Facebook, or .com.
Yep.
Keep it real simple.
Yep. And I will tag her in the highlight reel on the Instagram page for How Do I Do This at How Do I Do This Pod under season 3. And so you'll be able to find her. And of course, y'all know you can slip into my DMs and I'll connect you with all the best people.
And the one thing if you are struggling with surviving a group where you feel like there is relational aggression. So because I can't see everybody one-on-one, I've got an e-guide that I created for moms and their children in helping them survive some relational aggression if that is going on in their current relationships.
Beautiful.
And they can find that on my Instagram.
Beautiful. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for today. You can grieve for who you were before it all changed and still become someone new. Grief and growth sit at the table, passing notes when we're not looking. This tea, this time, this space is part of your healing and it's part of mine too. You're not broken, you're just brewing. And besties, we do not gatekeep around here. So if you heard something that poured into your emotional cup, if a friend came to mind and you're like, they need to hear this episode, pass it along, follow, and come back next Tuesday. Your seat at the table will be waiting. Follow along on Instagram at How Do I Do This Pod and on YouTube at How Do I Do This Pod. DM me on Instagram and tell me what kind of grief you're holding right now. Seriously, I'll read every one and will probably be the person to respond back. Tell me what you have tried that you think might help me. I'm open to trying anything that's not illegal. Your story might find its way into one of our future episodes.